You think privacy is a room with a door. In America, privacy is a rumor. It's the little green camera light that isn't always honest. It's the allow while using app button you tap because you're late and you want the map to stop nagging you. It's a highway you drive at night, quiet and empty, until you remember every mile is measured, every exit photographed, every plate translated into searchable text by machines that never sleep. And it's the fact no one has to be a genius to watch you anymore. They just have to be interested. A friend of mine, Silicon Valley money, the kind that buys dinner tables named after him, keeps a strip of matte tape on his laptop camera, not because he's paranoid, he insists, but because he once saw a security report that ended with a sentence that stuck in his throat. Assume compromise, measure only impact. When the richest people in the country cover their cameras, it's not a meme, it's a confession. This story begins in Washington, D.C., with a man who wouldn't show his face. He contacted me through a chain of people who didn't like being names on record, a former cop who now did executive protection for tech conferences, a journalist's fixer who owed him a favor, a bartender in Arlington who served government contractors and learned to forget what she heard. Each person passed the message like it was hot metal. He wants to talk. He wants to talk once. He doesn't want you to follow. He says he'll know if you do. He gave me a meeting place that made no sense, a laundromat on the edge of Northeast, the kind with flickering fluorescent lights and vending machines that swallowed quarters like a hungry animal. People came and went carrying baskets of clothes, ordinary and careless, the way you can be when you're not hunted. He arrived without warning. I noticed him because he moved like someone trained to move without being noticed, and because he failed on purpose. He let the door chime, he let a camera see him, he walked straight to the back, where the air smelled like hot detergent, and sat in a plastic chair beneath a sign that read, "No loitering." He wore a baseball cap low, a plain gray hoodie and a disposable mask like it was still 2020. His hands were bare, but his fingers looked wrong. Too careful. People who spend years thinking about prints stop touching things the way the rest of us do. He didn't introduce himself.
You can call me Mason.
He said.
That's not your name.
It's what you can print.
He watched the front door even while he spoke to me.
If you came here with your phone on, turn it off. Not airplane mode. Off.
I hesitated.
Airplane mode is a suggestion. Off is a fact.
I turned it off. The screen went black like a curtain dropping. He nodded once, like I'd passed the first test.
I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to want to ask for proof. I don't have proof I can safely hand you. Not anymore. Proof is a magnet. Proof is a flare in the dark.
Then why talk? He leaned back, his hood shadowing his face.
Because I'm tired of being alone in it.
Outside, a siren wailed and faded. A bus sighed to a stop, then lurched away. Mason stared at the washer doors spinning, the clothes tumbling like lives in a machine, and began at the part that mattered.
I used to work security, close protection, not mall cop stuff, not club bouncer stuff, the kind where you learn to read crowds like weather.
Who for? He didn't answer directly.
A man who wanted to be president someday.
The sentence hung there, heavy. You're saying you worked for…
I'm not saying a name. I'm saying power. American power. The kind that makes calls and things happen. The kind that can break a person without leaving fingerprints.
He spoke like someone describing an animal he'd studied up close.
His people called him Senator Klein. He was from a state that thinks it's the center of the world. He had a smile for cameras and a talent for making donors feel like they were doing God's work.
I waited.
I was on his detail in D.C. Capitol days, fundraiser nights, hotel ballrooms, private jets that smelled like leather and cologne and money. We were the wall between him and everyone else. We checked bags, swept rooms, watched hands. We were supposed to be invisible.
He paused.
Do you know what a wrong person looks like in Washington?
I shook my head.
A wrong person looks like someone who isn't supposed to exist. A staffer with a question, a journalist with a receipt, a donor who didn't get what he paid for, someone with a conscience, someone with a record.
His eyes, dark in the shadow of his cap, fixed on mine.
Most people think corruption is a guy in a back alley exchanging an envelope. That's not how it works here. Here, it's a committee, it's a foundation, it's a consulting contract, it's speaking fees, it's a job for your cousin, it's a defense subcontract that feeds a family tree.
Mason's voice dropped.
And then it was murder.
The word hit the laundromat air like a slap. A woman laughed near the dryers, a bright sound that didn't belong. You're sure?
Mason nodded once, slow. I didn't see it happen, I heard it ordered.
He let the sentence sit, then he added almost casually.
And that's worse in a way, because it means it can happen again.
I asked him what happened to make him listen, to break his own rules. He was quiet for a moment, watching suds crawl up a washer window.
You know how some men treat people beneath them, like furniture, like props?
I nodded.
He treated us like that. We were bodies, we were arms that opened doors, ears that weren't supposed to remember. And after a while, you start to realize that when someone stops seeing you as human, you're not just hired help, you're disposable.
He looked down at his hands.
So I did something stupid.
What?
I tried to balance the scales. I tried to make the universe fair.
He didn't say, I planted a bug yet. He circled the idea like it could bite him.
I knew how sweeps worked. I knew when the office was checked. I knew what they looked for because I'd done it 1,000 times. I knew the blind spots.
My pulse quickened. You're telling me you recorded him?
I listened.
The way he said it made it sound like a sin.
I didn't do it for money. I didn't do it to sell it. I did it because I needed to know if I was crazy, if I was seeing monsters because I wanted to see monsters.
He inhaled, steadying himself.
And then I heard the call.
He leaned forward. The washers rattled. Somewhere a coin dropped into a slot with a clink that felt too loud.
It was late. The building was quieter. The staff had gone home. It was just him and 2 people he trusted. I was outside. I'd planted the device weeks earlier. Small, quiet, the kind no one notices because it looks like nothing.
He swallowed.
I heard the call, and he said, "Talk."
Mason's eyes flicked toward the ceiling, like the memory had cameras.
A man's voice came through. The voice of someone who doesn't use names. Someone who speaks in completed tasks.
Mason lowered his voice.
It's handled.
You sure?
And the other voice said, "Tonight, it'll be on every feed. She won't write again."
Mason's jaw tightened.
Klein laughed, like it was a favor, like it was a joke, and then he said,
Good. She got too curious.
I didn't breathe for a moment. Who was she?
A reporter. Investigative. The kind that reads filings and follows nonprofits and asks why a senator's childhood friend owns a company that keeps winning contracts. The kind that doesn't stop because they don't know when to be afraid.
He stared at me.
Her name was Danny Reed.
It sounded real enough to hurt.
She'd been digging. Not just dirt. The whole pipeline. Data brokers, defense tech, a surveillance subcontract that was supposed to be counter-terror. A back-channel fundraiser. She kept showing up in places she wasn't invited. She kept asking why.
Mason's voice went cold.
And then she disappeared.
He told me the news story that followed. A missing persons bulletin, a few days of headlines, a photograph of a smiling woman in a blazer, the public's attention flickering like a weak signal. Then, weeks later, the body found in an industrial strip outside Baltimore. Bad neighborhood, easy narrative. No suspects. No arrests. Another tragic story for people to sigh about and scroll past.
I heard the order before she died. I heard the satisfaction after.
He leaned back and closed his eyes, as if the laundromat light was too bright.
That's when I knew. I wasn't crazy. The monster was real.
What did you do?
I did what you're supposed to do in America. I tried to go public.
He didn't go to the police.
Local cops can't touch that. Federal agencies, it depends. And depends is another word for good luck.
So he went to the one place people still believe could burn darkness with light, a major news network.
It wasn't CNN. It wasn't Fox. It was one of the big ones that likes to call itself serious. The kind that runs "Democracy dies in darkness" type slogans while taking sponsors from everyone who benefits from darkness.
He'd chosen them because the reporter who answered the tip line sounded hungry, because she asked the right questions, because she promised him confidentiality, because for one brief night, he thought the system might actually work.
I brought them the file. I didn't email it. I didn't upload it. I walked it in on a piece of plastic smaller than my thumb.
He'd chosen them because it felt official.
I gave it to a producer in a glass building in Manhattan. He shook my hand, he looked me in the eye and said,
This changes everything. Mason's laugh was dry.
I believed him.
He stared at the spinning clothes, his reflection warped in the washer door.
3 days later, I realized what I'd done.
How? He didn't answer immediately.
I got a message. Not a threat, not a warning, a suggestion.
You shouldn't have gone to Midtown. My skin tightened.
And then my old boss's chief of staff called my mother.
He paused for effect, letting the cruelty land.
My mother lives in Ohio. She doesn't know DC. She doesn't know politics. She knows casseroles and church and that her son does security.
His voice roughened.
Fallen in with bad people. In trouble. The senator wanted to help. That's the move. Not violence first, control first, isolation. Make your own family doubt you. Turn your home into a place you can't return to.
He took a breath.
Then I got confirmation.
What kind?
The network ran a story, a soft one, not about Danny Reed, not about Sea Line, just a vague segment about online misinformation and threats to democracy and the need for bipartisan unity. And buried in it was a quote from the senator about how
Reckless leaks endanger lives.
Mason's mouth twisted.
A preemptive smear, setting the stage, making sure that if anything came out, the public would already be trained to doubt it.
So they didn't run your tape.
No, they sold it.
How do you know? I asked.
Because the next day, the device in the office was gone.
And then he continued.
Klein's people came looking for me.
He described the slow tightening.
When you work protection, you learn how to find people. You learn the human habits that leave trails. You learn what fear makes you do.
Mason stopped going home. He stopped using his own car. He stopped using his own credit cards.
That's the lie. Everyone tells themselves they're careful. That's how you survive long enough to make a mistake.
He stared at his hands again.
My mistake was a tablet.
I felt a chill because the word sounded absurd. Tablet, like a toy.
It was an iPad, a stupid thing, a screen for games, something I used on flights, something I didn't think about the way I thought about phones.
He leaned closer, his voice lower, urgent.
I turned off my phone. I'd stripped my life down to cash and silence. I'd been sleeping in different places, never 2 nights in a row. I thought I was a ghost.
He swallowed.
And then I went to an ATM.
He didn't say which bank.
I needed money. Cash is freedom until it's gone.
He'd done it quick.
And then I heard a sound.
What sound?
Not a siren, not footsteps, a vibration.
His jaw clenched.
The tablet in my bag lit up because it found Wi-Fi.
A simple thing, a stupid thing.
And it wasn't just Wi-Fi. It was logged into a corporate profile. Mobile device management, remote services, the kind of stuff companies install so they can wipe your device if you lose it.
He exhaled through his nose.
That tablet was still tied to my old life, to my old employer, to the senator's ecosystem, to the part of the machine that likes to know where everything is.
He stared at the washer as if it might confess.
I didn't notice it at the bottom of the bag when I packed. I threw everything in fast. I was running on adrenaline. I thought about phones and cameras and license plates. I didn't think about a gaming tablet.
His voice hardened.
But they thought about it.
He escaped that night, barely. But he learned the lesson.
You can't just ditch your phone. Your phone is one thread. Your car is another. Your face, your voice, your watch, your laptop, your gym check-ins, your friend's Instagram story where you're a blurry shape in the background.
He leaned back.
And your enemies don't have to be geniuses. They just have to have access.
He wanted me to understand the scale.
People imagine surveillance like it's one guy in a van. Sometimes it is, but the real thing is bigger. It's data centers and contracts. It's partnerships. It's national security language that makes everyone stop asking questions.
He gestured around the laundromat.
Every camera you see belongs to someone. A business, a landlord, a city. And those systems talk to each other more than you think.
Doorbells, traffic cams, license plate readers, smart everything.
He paused, then added.
And if the government wants it, the government can ask. Sometimes politely, sometimes not.
He spoke about corporate surveillance too.
Your employer gives you a laptop. You think it's a perk, you think it's a tool. And it is, but it's also a leash if they decide it is. Most people don't need to be threatened. They just need to be observed. Observed people behave.
The washer near us beeped and stopped. A woman opened it and lifted out wet jeans like nothing in the world was wrong. Mason watched her for a moment with something like envy.
Normal is a privilege.
I asked him why he didn't just hand everything to an agency. He looked at me like I'd asked why a rabbit doesn't simply negotiate with a hawk.
Because I watched how the senator treated agencies. He didn't fear them, he used them. He had friends, he had donors, he had leverage, and he had something better than money.
What?
Information on everyone.
He leaned in, voice barely above the churn of the machines.
You want to control a person, you don't need to own them. You just need to know what they're ashamed of.
He stood up abruptly.
We're almost done.
Why now? Why risk meeting me at all? Mason stared at the front door again.
Because stories are how you warn people. And I want someone to know that what happened to Danny Reed wasn't an accident. It was a decision.
His voice tightened.
And because if I disappear, I want it to be harder for them to pretend I never existed.
He pulled his hood up higher.
If you write this, you write it as fiction. You don't use my voice on tape. You don't look for me. You don't try to be brave.
He pointed a finger at me.
Brave gets you dead. Or worse, brave gets you useful.
I promised. I meant it. He nodded once.
They didn't catch me because they're gods. They almost brought me because I forgot something stupid.
He stepped toward the door, then paused.
I want you to remember this. If they ever really decide you're a problem, you won't know it at first.
The door chime rang as he left. The sound was bright and harmless. He vanished into Washington the way smoke vanishes into air. I stayed in the laundromat for 10 minutes after he was gone, listening to the washers, watching people fold shirts, watching a kid drop a quarter and cry like it was the end of the world. I turned my phone back on and felt the immediate rush of notifications like a crowd pressing in. For 2 days afterward, I heard nothing from Mason. On the third day, a number I didn't recognize sent me one message.
Don't go looking. You'll only see what they want you to see.
I replied with a single question. Are you safe? No answer. A week later, a political news cycle flared. Senator Klein photographed smiling beside flags, promising transparency, promising safety, promising a future where
Good people have nothing to hide.
The clip went viral for a day. The internet argued. The country moved on. And somewhere inside that moving on, a man who knew too much either chose to become a ghost or was made into one. Because this is the part no one wants to say out loud. In a nation built on freedom, the scariest cage is the one you can't see. And if you ever feel the world grow quiet around you, if your phone goes strangely calm, if the street feels staged, if a black SUV idles a little too long, don't tell yourself you're paranoid. Tell yourself the truth. Privacy isn't a room with a door. It's a fight. And in the modern world, the fight starts the moment you forget you're under the lens.